The results are in. The job that, frankly, no one in their right mind should ever want has been awarded to fearless anti-woke warrior Kemi Badenoch. Let's be honest, following the elimination of Tory centrist James Cleverly, whose team not so cleverly assumed that he was going to win, the party faithful have for once been offered a choice of two actual Conservatives. I know, imagine my surprise. And both candidates have terrific qualities. Robert Jenrick has emerged from the clutches of the Remain One Nation Tory crowd, who are, if we're honest, glorified Liberal Democrats. And he has demonstrated a sincere concern about the direction of the party and of the country. If Kemi Badenoch is smart, and I'm pretty sure she is, she will accommodate Jenrick's bold ideas, including reducing legal net migration drastically and rethinking the ECHR and the Human Rights Act in order to stop the boats, which, let's not forget, remains a humanitarian, economic and national security disaster. A credible plan to end those crossings alone could see the Tories back in power in 5 years' time, embarrassing Labour and neutralising reform in one fell swoop. Following a relatively tight race and a decent turnout of well over 70%, Kemi Badenoch must now make Robert Jenrick a key figure in her political revolution. The man who yesterday was her opponent should today be her colleague, friend and political secret weapon. The weakness of Badenoch's campaign, if there was one, was a lack of substance. But with bold plans for taxation, the NHS, the role of the state and our constitution, Jenrick has substance in abundance. But in the end, despite Badenoch offering more poetry than policy, the membership followed their gut and chose a candidate that is the real deal. Authentic, fearless and a conservative to her core. Having experienced socialism in Nigeria whilst growing up, she has a profound allergy to leftist ideology. She's seen how divisive and toxic it is. And, as this week's budget will prove in the years ahead, what a failed economic model it is as well. Which is why Badenoch must transform the Tories from being the con-socialists to the Conservatives again. Her job is to fix the party before she fixes the country. And that starts with taking on the Tory wets, as Margaret Thatcher did in 1979. Now, I'll deal with Nigel Farage and the threat of Reform UK to the Conservative cause tomorrow in a Take at 10 special. But for now, the Conservative Party, the most effective political machine in the history of Western democracy, can celebrate a vibrant, exciting new leader who will make headlines, will make noise and will make trouble. Let's not forget, this is a party that gave the world Winston Churchill, who defeated fascism and saved the West. It's the party of Margaret Thatcher, who liberated the working class and sparked an economic revolution. It is the party of, yes, Boris Johnson, who, notwithstanding the disaster of ruinous lockdowns and COVID tyranny, saved us from a Jeremy Corbyn-led government and liberated us from the clutches of Europe. Ultimately, today is a good result for the Conservative Party and for the country. Here is part of a piece that I wrote about Kemi's victory in today's Daily Telegraph, which, let me tell you, made quite the splash. I wrote, well, Kemi can tackle illegal immigration without being called racist. She will make mincemeat of Keir Starmer in the House of Commons. PMQs will be weekly must-see TV. And she will stand up to the worst excesses of woke. Indeed, she will. The Prime Minister will be bricking it tonight, absolutely bricking it. Following Labour's catastrophic Halloween budget, which has consigned us to 5 years of low growth, high tax and eye-watering debt, I can't think of a time when we've needed a strong opposition more. And we've got that in spades with the fearless trailblazer that is Kemi Badenoch. The Tories are back, folks. It is game on. And considering what's coming his way, Keir Starmer won't want to invest in a pair of brown trousers. Your reaction to the appointment of Kemi Badenoch as the leader of the Tories, gbnews.com/your say. But first, tonight's top pundits. I'm delighted to welcome entrepreneur and social commentator Joanna Jarju, TV personality and broadcaster Ingrid Tarrant, and former Conservative MP Brooks Newmark. Great to see all three of you in the studio. Ingrid, Kemi, is she the one for the job?
I fear not. I'm not a huge fan. I'm going to say things that are going to upset an awful lot of people, but this is how I say it. I'm not convinced by her. I don't listen. She doesn't engage with me at all. And another thing, and this is where I could get myself into trouble a little bit.
Oh, go on.
Go on. I just think it's very virtue signalling, because every single person is saying, you know, the first black Conservative leader. And I just wonder if in the choice of the 4 or 5 that were running, that was a little bit of a tactic to turn around to say to Labour, look, you haven't even got one woman, but we've had an Asian Prime Minister and now we have the first black Conservative.
And she's the 4th woman as well.
I don't think that was the reason.
No, I'm being cynical. I am being cynical. But the thing is, it could be true. We don't know.
Joanna, what do you think, Joanna?
So I think that there is something to be said that they saw that as a benefit, and that maybe it would have been potentially tactical for them to pick her as the first female black. But I think it's more the fact that she's black. And I think that the trend that we see with the Conservative Party, and they like to, you know, say that we should all give them a round of applause and congratulate them that they've had so many ethnic minorities.
But this is the thing.
But the underlying thing is that they do it because they know that some of the things that maybe their white counterparts can't say, then these ethnic minorities can. So I don't think it's got anything to do with diversity.
They've just chosen her because she's a true Conservative. She's a great public speaker.
I'm not saying that's the only reason. I'm not saying that's the only reason, but I do think that it's a factor that is a benefit to them, so that especially previously
to criticise immigration.
So are you suggesting that the members were cynical in voting for Kemi Badenoch?
No, not necessarily. I think that, you know, she's got other qualities that she brings to the table, but I do think that it is an added benefit when they say, well, you know, it's the mouthpieces, isn't it? Rishi Sunak was able to say certain things, especially Suella Braverman was able to say certain things. Priti Patel. So I don't think
it is as pure and simple as that. I think there is a tactical reason behind it. And one other thing, and this really does bother me. She isn't British. She talks about our country. She was born here because her parents were here to give birth to her, that entitled her, before the law changed, to birthright citizenship. Then she was taken back to Nigeria and came back to England when she was 16. So when she talks about our country, that doesn't sit comfortably with me either.
Really? Sorry, can I just address that? So are you basically saying that... So, for example, I wasn't born here, but I grew up here, and I'm a British citizen. So does that mean that technically I'm not British?
Well, so if there was a war somewhere, supposing Nigeria and England went to war...
Yeah.
Oh, that's the Norman Tebbit test. I mean, that's bollocks. I mean, she is...
It's a good test.
I'm sorry, am I allowed to say that?
Well, you've said it. I apologise to anyone offended. Listen, you feel strongly about this. Why?
OK, because I'm also an immigrant to this country, and I was a member of Parliament, and I feel British, and I chose that, OK?
Just a second. First generation immigrant?
Yes.
Oh, OK.
OK?
Yeah,
thank you.
No, just
I think you were born in the United States.
I was born in the States. My father died. My mum married an Englishman. I moved to England when I was 9. And yes, fine, I had a choice. Did I want to be American or did I want to be British? I chose to be British. I gave up my American passport. So I feel British.
Yeah, but you chose. She was a baby. Her parents chose to have her born here, so she had a birthright.
But then again, Ingrid, she came to the UK aged 16. She got a job at McDonald's. She worked her way through college and she got into politics. She entered the bosom of the Conservative Party, to which she feels very grateful. And she's now potentially Britain's next Prime Minister.
Yeah. I know. People are going to scream at me for this, but I
let Ingrid make her point first.
I worry about true patriotism and also history. You know, grandparents that have fought in the war, that they've made contributions and things like this. And I don't know whether when push comes to shove, and OK, you're talking about this sort of like the Tebet litmus test and all the rest of it. Why not?
But don't people that come into this country from elsewhere often demonstrate the most patriotism of anyone?
Yeah, I would say so.
The patriotic zeal of the immigrants.
It is so hypocritical because I kind of think to myself, what do people want? What do the general public, what do people like you, Ingrid, want? But half of the people say, if you come here, you've got to assimilate, you've got to love the country, you've got to do everything. Really, Kemi Badenoch is doing that. And if anything, she actually speaks against people who are from her community, which she doesn't even like the term, the black community, for example.
Well, she's pretty harsh about Nigeria, isn't she?
Very harsh. Very harsh. So she distances herself. And I just think we know that we live...
Let Joanna finish her point.
We live in this multicultural society. We know that, you know, we live in this globalist world with immigration. People move here to somewhere else and vice versa. And when people come here, the biggest problem that people say is that they don't adhere to our British values. She's done that and then some. And I don't even like her. And I'm defending her in that
Ingrid,
sense.
isn't the point that
So
you can come from Timbuktu, for all I care, as long as you do a good job of leading the political party that you're leading and hopefully run the country well?
The most important thing is to run the country well. But also the other part of it is, what is one's agenda? You know, you were saying it's not a job. It's like being handed the poison chalice. But if you want that, and a lot of people do, there are serial politicians out there, and the big prize is to be the Prime Minister.
Can I just ask you, really quickly?
Go for it.
Would you be saying that if she was a white woman?
Yes.
OK, but Boris Johnson wasn't born here, was he?
Born in America.
He was.
He's born in America.
Oh, he was born in America.
He's born in America and had an American passport.
And then, so if you wouldn't say that about Boris Johnson, why would you say it about Kemi?
I didn't know that he was. Wasn't born in
But then you would.
I knew his father wasn't, and or the grandfather wasn't.
Look, Ingrid is entitled to her view, but what's yours, Brooks?
OK, for me, I supported Kemi when she stood against Rishi. I think she is the real thing. I look at the leaders of our party, and I look at the evidence. The evidence is every time the Tory party has tried to shift to the left, whether under Heath, whether under Cameron, whether under May, we've either won by a margin or we've lost. The only time Conservatives win is when we have an authentic Conservative leader, which to me, Winston Churchill, just a second, you would answer them. Winston Churchill, massive victory in 51. There was then Thatcher, 3 terms undefeated, massive victory because she brought in the blue-collar workers into the Tory party, and Boris Johnson. Whether people like him or not, he had a huge victory. Just a second. I listened to you. I listened to you. Oh, bollocks.
OK, finish your point, because we're going to come back to this.
You can't say that Nigel Farage had an impact on the Tory vote at the last election.
Oh, I think
and at the last election... Well, he did.
With
That's the point that I'm making. That's the point that I'm making. Kemi is the real thing. I think Kemi is going to lead us back to victory within 5 years.
OK, listen, I tell you what we're going to do. You can see that feelings are running high.